welcome everyone to today's episode of the Retail Is podcast by Retail Alliance. I'm Kylie Ross-Seibert, joined as always with Joey Morgan, and today's guest is Walter Gardner from Village Bicycles in Newport News. Welcome to the show, Walter.
Thank you.
And can we call you Walt? That's all right?
You sure can. You can call me whatever you want.
Well, today we're interested in just having a chat with you about your business, how you got there, because I know it's an interesting story. So maybe we can just get started. You can introduce yourself and what your business is all about.
Sure. Well, my name is Walt Gardner, and I'm the owner of Village Bicycles. And I've started as an owner back in 2006. Is that right? Yeah, 2006.
Who are you talking to off to the side, Walter?
That's Connie. That's my my partner in life partner in business and and at home.
Your partner in crime.
Yeah.
Well, it's nice to see you, Connie, off the side. So you started the business, 2006, you said?
It was. So I actually started in the bike industry in 1977, right out of high school. I was planning on going into the military, and so I had to kill some time. I wasn't old enough to go in yet. And a buddy of mine that worked on a crab boat came by the house, and he goes, "Hey man, I just got a new job." I was like, "Really? What are you going to be doing?" He goes, "I'm going to be working at a bike shop." I was like, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah, man, you want to come?" I was like, "Really? I can come?" He goes, "Yeah, the guy needs some help. You can come along and volunteer." So that was in the summer of 1977. And, lo and behold, 2021, I'm still here waiting to go into the military.
Yeah.
Wow. So you were volunteering at the time. So you weren't even getting
I
paid.
did. So I started as a volunteer, and the owner of the bicycle shop at the time was a gentleman named Mr. Conti. And he had they still have a very successful bicycle business as well.
They do.
And so when I showed up, he goes, "Well, you can't volunteer. If you're working, I have to pay you." So my friend that actually got the job got fired a couple weeks later. And Mr. Connie was like, "Your buddy's got to go, but I'd like for you to stay on." And then I reminded him that this was just a temporary job until I was old enough to get into the military. So
was that the end of your friendship with your?
Well, he asked me if he needed to come back and pick me up at the end of the day. I said, he's probably going to fire me at the end of the day. So, but he needs somebody to hang out to the end of the day. But yeah, no, he stayed a friend for sure.
That's funny.
And he knew the issue was neither one of us had a lot of experience. And what we would do is we would repair the bikes, and then we'd set them up front where the customers would pick them up. But Mr. Conti would go through them and make sure if there was anything that was loose or that we had overlooked. He tried to head that off at the pass, but the straw that broke the camel's back was that he had 3 comebacks where the customer had to bring it back. The wheel either slipped over or something was overlooked, and he explained to us that he just couldn't have that,
Yeah.
So at the time, his suggestion was go out and test ride it before you put it in the line there. And that way, if there's any issues, you might figure it out while you're out there test riding it. Sure. Yeah. Which was just, that was sheer brilliance on his end. And I still like to test ride something if I work on it. And I'm kind of a small guy. I'm about 5'5", so a lot of times the bikes are a little big for me to go out and test ride. So I don't test ride everything, but if I can ride it, I do like to ride it and make sure that it's still working.
So did he give you a love for bikes, or was this just a job?
Well, honestly, the attraction is that I raced a bike as a younger guy. And of course, I was 17 at the time. So I was already a bicycle enthusiast. So I thought, man, this would be fun, working on bikes, kind of my passion. But I quickly realized that, working on your own bike and then working on a bike that somebody's paying to have repaired is a totally different standard, So I was very fortunate. Mr. Conti was almost like a second father to me because I was a young kid, and he was sort of guiding me along, and being with somebody all day long, you weren't just talking about bikes, you talked about your family and other things. And it was good to have somebody like him help me out, give me some sort of value system that I've been able to maintain my whole life.
Yeah, he sounds like
So,
a mentor.
yeah. So at the time, he was he had gone from a 3-store operation to a 1-store operation and put it all under one roof. And the business had formerly been Village Bicycles, the building that he acquired.
Okay.
The gentleman that was running Village Bicycles it was kind of a Gucci high-end bicycle thing, like in the 70s, was kind of rare. But it turned out he had another business going on that he got busted for. That's how Mr. Conti was able to acquire the space. But that's kind of how the name Village Bicycles came back around, because.
So why did you come back to it?
Well, how I took ownership was that when Mr. Conti passed, his 2 sons took over the business, and they had a different vision than Mr. Conti did. They wanted to open shops all across the country, because they had been very successful. And that was kind of what they wanted to do. They wanted to expand and share their service with people all over the country. So in 2005, they started franchising. So I was offered a franchise. And so when I took the business over, it was a Conti's bike shop. And I had the licensing to own that name for 10 years. So the couple of years I ran it as a franchise, and I quickly found out that I wasn't the right guy to be part of a franchise model.
Yeah.
So I was able to sign a termination agreement with the franchise company, and was able to maintain a good relationship with the Conti family at the same time. So, they were really instrumental in helping me understand, what it was like to run a business. And, without them giving me the opportunity, I wouldn't have, what I have now. So, but when it became Village Bicycles, that was more like the business that I had envisioned, like a 1-store operation. It's hard to control, stuff that happens in other multiple locations. So if somebody had a not so positive experience somewhere else, and you're carrying the same name, you kind of get drug along with that. So when I became Village Bicycles, any problems that I created were ones I created on my own.
Right.
And it's always been a bicycle shop in this particular location. So I think that's helped me a lot, because people, if they didn't remember anything, they remember, hey, there's a bike shop right in that area of Newport News. But we've been, we're a local neighborhood bike shop that, we cater from, everybody from the department store bicycle to the, $15,000 bicycle now. When I started, a state-of-the-art bicycle was about $600.
Yeah.
The math has gotten pretty,
Yeah, that's crazy.
it is. It's nuts. I have a lot of people that come in there. They're like, "What's your most expensive bike?" And usually I'll point out one of Connie's bikes because she's an enthusiast as well. And yeah, they go, "Good Lord, are you kidding? I didn't pay that much for my car."
Yeah.
Yeah, what do the parts cost on that to replace? Jeez.
Well, it can be expensive. So when I started in '77, our tune-up was about $15. And it might take you an hour to do it, and it was mostly pulling cables, greasing bearings, that sort of thing. Well, now you have sophisticated shift systems that are they're controlled by Bluetooth. So when Connie's shifting gears on her bicycle, it's actually sending a phone signal to the rear derailleur, and that's what moves her chain around on her bike. And it has hydraulic disc brakes on it, and the bikes are made out of carbon fiber now, so they've gotten pretty complicated.
So,
Yeah, sounds like
how do
it.
people learn this stuff? Is there a school for bike repairs?
There is. They do have several schools that you can go to now. I mean, you really have to.
Mhm.
I was fortunate enough to come up in a time where, it was the most basic, wire pulling the derailleur. Well, the principles have never changed. It's just how it moves now. The bike is still the
Fundamentally.
greatest mechanism in the world. They say it's more efficient than walking. So, but the principles have never changed.
Yeah.
And what's interesting now is probably the biggest growing marketplace are pedal assist electric bikes. So, as folks get up in years and they can't do a 30 or 40 mile ride now like they used to, they can now buy a pedal assist bike that helps them on their journey. And they're becoming much more practical modes of transportation.
Yeah. Are you stocking those as well?
I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am.
You
We
stock
do.
those? Oh, wow.
We
Okay.
do. Yeah, it's not a big part of our business yet. There are shops that only specialize in electric bicycles, but we still feel like if you want to get it and pedal a bicycle, that's
Give you the opportunity.
kind of what we specialize in.
Okay. Wow. Gosh,
So,
I'm learning a lot here.
oh, yeah, so obviously the big thing going on, COVID-19, and how it's been impacting businesses. I have been fascinated on what it did for bikes. It seemed everybody in the world wanted to buy a bike for a period during this.
Well, that's the crazy thing, and it's created all kinds of new issues for the bike industry.
Mhm.
But you're right. When people didn't go to work, they just didn't want to be cooped up in their house the whole time. So, hey, maybe I'll get out and ride a bike.
Find their old bike in the attic somewhere. And
well, yes, if we scan the back of the bike shop right now, you'd see lots of old bikes that were in the attic for a lot of years. But the great thing about a good bike is that no matter how old it is, it can always be serviced, and it'll still get you down the road.
Nice.
Did that become sort of more of the majority rather than purchasing new bikes? Was like,
well, if there were and the thing is that everybody all at once decided they wanted to ride a bike, and the bike industry was not really prepared for that. And what a lot of people don't realize that this pandemic was a worldwide problem, so a lot of the factories were shut down over when COVID first hit, so there weren't bikes being manufactured at the time. So we're in a spot now where they're trying to catch up on the manufacturing end of things, and it's going to be a while before they can things go back to where shops have lots of inventory for people to pick from. So yeah, it's been somewhat of a pivot for me because we've gone from it used to be like a 50% sales, 50% service to, you know, it's a much lower number on the sales end right now just because of availability.
Mm-hmm.
But the service end of it is, at times it seemed almost unmanageable.
Is it getting a little bit better now?
Yeah, yes, it is. I mean, I think that we've gotten through some of the worst part of it. A lot of it is, the supply chain, buying tires and things like tires and inner tubes that we've never had to take for granted. Now are like a very tough thing to get your hands on. So a lot of times we take in a repair and we'll tell people, hey, this could be a month because I can't get the tires for it right now. People look at me like, what, you can't get tires? Like, yeah, they're just, I can't get tires.
Yeah, that's crazy. So, I mean, you've obviously, as you said, you've had to pivot.
Mm-hmm.
What happened with the staff, or is it just you and Connie? Like, who works with you and what?
Well, I mean, because we're a service-oriented business, I have kept, my staff going the whole time. So, and I feel bad for a lot of other businesses because I know, like, if I was in the restaurant business, there have been, restaurants that have shut down because their core customer, can't come in and they're regulated by the government. I think we were fortunate in the fact that we were considered essential. So we never really had to shut down. However, we do close a couple times a week because if I didn't, there's no way I could keep up with the amount of repair work. So we have to work uninterrupted on the days that we're closed just to stay a couple of weeks behind.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So going back to, you said you're essential. Is that because it's like a transportation mode?
I guess that's all. That's all, the only thing I could think of. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a lot of our other retailers obviously were not classed as essential. Small businesses.
Right. Yeah. And
you must have.
We didn't. It wasn't something we ever thought about. Are we essential? I just figured, hey, I'm gonna show up until they tell me I can't show up. It's that's the great thing about being in an industry that you're passionate about is you don't really feel like you're going to work.
Mm-hmm.
It's something you look forward to doing every day.
Yeah.
So I mean, in that respect, I feel very fortunate. I couldn't imagine going to a job that I just got up and I was like, oh man, I got to go back into work today. Another 8 hours of something. How am I going to get through the day?
Yeah. So tell me, when did you meet Connie and how did she get involved with it?
Well, Connie was actually a sponsored athlete for us. So the owner of the shop at the time said he wanted to sponsor this aspiring triathlete. And that's kind of how I met her. I was the mechanic, so I was the one that was going to work on her bicycle. And through that, that's really how we met. And I would have never in a million years thought that one day we'd be working, side by side in the industry. She was a school teacher at the time. And again, me being a bike mechanic, I didn't really picture us, becoming business partners, let alone life partners.
Now, how long ago was that?
Gosh, I'm going to say that was sometime around 89. Does that sound right? Yes. 1992.
Wow. That's not a bad run.
No. might be if you ask her.
So you're more sort of the back end and the you run that side of things, but does Connie run the front?
She does. She's certainly become more the face of the business, in my opinion, than I have. She deals with the answering the phones, selling most folks their bikes. Yeah. So, and she does the bookkeeping, the controlling of the inventory. Um, you know,
Yeah.
she does a lot. She does a whole lot. Yeah.
Yeah. So in terms of like getting the word out, I mean, you're local, a lot of people know that there's a bike shop there, obviously.
Hmm.
But do you do like, bike runs or, like, is there any
We
sort of
do,
these
yes.
events and things?
Because it's a passion-driven business, we have bike rides that we do out of the shop, and it's interesting because a lot of the people that you meet initially as customers become friends and big supporters of the bike shop. So I'm a guy, I don't even own a cell phone, so so I'm not a big social media guy, but everybody that I meet is a social media person. So, they always pass the good word along. So I don't have to be that technically savvy because all of my customers are.
That's great. I mean, that's the best way. You get someone else to talk about you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're so grateful to the community because they're really the ones that are responsible for our success. I show up every day and I repair the bikes, but honestly, it's the community that gets out there and says, "Hey, you got to go to Village Bikes and get your bike worked on, or go in there, buy a tire if you need it." So in this day and age, you can buy everything over the net, but I'm stunned at how much traffic we still get. And that's the sad thing, is that there are kids that are growing up that have only had the experience over their phone, so they don't get that personal interaction that you can get at a small business.
Yeah, getting to know people, actually having a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow.
So what are your goals for this year? What's the plan for Village Bicycle?
Well, we're going to continue on the path that we're on right now. It's mainly just trying to keep the business going until it goes back to a little bit more of a normal type retail business. Right now, I would say that we're a little bit more service oriented than retail, but we still have accessories that people can come in and get. And we do have bikes, not many, but they're starting to trickle in, a couple at a time during the week. And as the supply chain gets better, we'll have to transition back into, business that we were doing before COVID.
Nice.
Did you actually, were you able to get any extra help on the service side? Or, I mean, you kept your people there, but.
Well, yeah, I mean, we have, yeah, we actually have a couple of gentlemen that come in and help out part-time, and some of them help out up front to try and give Connie a hand, because it takes a little while for them to learn the service part of it, unless they've been gone to a training school or something. But it's kind of, they pick up a little bit at a time. So yeah, we've been very, very fortunate. A lot of people want to work in a shop. It's a little bit of a magical atmosphere if you're a bicycle person.
Yeah.
To be working in a bicycle shop.
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I've never met anyone who said, "Oh, I want a career in the bicycle."
No, certainly not. Yeah, it's not the path most folks would take.
No, but at the same time, it's great to know that there is the opportunity there. And
sure.
Still
yeah, so there is if in the bicycle retailer magazines, they're touting the fact that there are not enough bicycle mechanics in the industry right now, that there is a shortage of qualified mechanics. Everybody's worked on their bike or repaired a tube. It's probably the one industry that where everybody's an expert because they've worked on their own bike or changed a tire.
I think there's a lot of industries like that.
Yeah, probably so.
Yeah,
probably so. I'm much more sympathetic to people behind the counters working behind the scenes now, when you experience it yourself.
Yeah.
Well, we are getting close to out of time. Is there anything you'd like to ask Kylie? Walt, anything you'd like to say?
No, just that, I'm grateful for the opportunity. It's always, I don't find my story as interesting as other people do.
No, I think it's fascinating that you've just been there for so long in that building.
It is truly, it's like a dream, it's, every day that I get up and do it again, I'm grateful for every day. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that is. Oh,
And
well, it was
good
lovely.
luck getting into the military one day.
Yeah. Yeah. My brother, who was in the military, goes, I don't think you're what they're looking for, to be honest. I think he was right.
That's funny.
That's great. Well, thank you for joining us, Walt.
Oh, you're so welcome. It's been my pleasure.